So we got a new mic. Hopefully this is making the vlog sound a little bit better, a little less background noise, that sort of thing. I'm just about to prepare some wood for putting in the laser, so I thought I'd hang out with you guys while I do that. This is just paper masking, so it's like a giant piece of masking tape to put over top the wood so that when it goes into the laser, it's going to not leave a bunch of like smoke marks all over my wood, which means I don't have to sand as much after it comes out of the laser. We also got a new tripod, and so now I'm not having to prop up the camera on random surfaces like books and baskets and whatnot. I'm gonna try something new today where I'm gonna actually mask both sides. Normally I would just do one, but I kind of just want to see if that helps even more, because the reality is the less time I have to spend sanding, the better. Here we go. For your sake, I'm going to clean the glass so you can actually see a little better. So here's the cool part about this. Excuse the noise from the Glowforge. But the best part about this masking I put on there, is once I peel that off, we're left with a super clean surface, and then I go and sand this super smooth, and I get up to like 1,000 grit sandpaper just to make sure it's really nice and smooth. And that's loom making. So I filmed myself making those looms the other day, and I didn't keep going with the video. While I was doing that though, I got to thinking about how those looms have come a long way, in the sense that me creating them has kind of adapted and changed the more I do them. I found quicker ways to sand them, better ways to cut them, adjustments on the settings to cut them so they'll be better, just all these little things. And it got me thinking about regular life too, and adapting, especially in this time. At the end of last week, I was thinking a lot about how, I was talking in the last video about how I was finding it hard to get out of bed, and I was really tired and things just feel weird. And I was thinking to myself, okay, if it's hard to get out of bed, what can I do to change how I feel in the morning about getting out of bed? Because I was like, the reality is I gotta get out of bed, gotta get work done, all those things just like everybody else. But I thought to myself, okay, why am I not getting out of bed quicker? And the reality is I have for a while now had this schedule of get up, work out, get ready, have breakfast, and then basically start working for the day. Now the problem with this, if you're really tired, is that there is 0 caffeine before working out, and that was causing me problems because I just wasn't waking up fast enough. So I would dread working out, so I would just scroll on my phone in bed for a really long time. Kind of still do, but this is what helped. Now, to preface what I'm about to say, I do want to say that I recognize the fact that I am privileged to be able to structure my day the way I want because I work from home. I don't have kids. I just got the whiny dog to take care of. But I realized why am I doing it in this way? And the reality is that everyone and their mother tells you to do that. Wake up, work out, get it out of the way, and best way to start your day. And I was like, but it's not working anymore. And so I decided what I was going to do was to just wake up and get ready or have a shower or whatever, and then come out here and have my breakfast, have my coffee, and let myself wake up slowly before trying to do all the things. Now, I don't know about you, but I get really caught up in all of these shoulds. You know, you should work out every day, you should do this in the morning, you should eat this for breakfast, and all of those things. And while the people who tell us them have the best intentions in mind, and yeah, they're healthy things, it just wasn't working for me anymore. And I just realized that I needed to slow down. And so all I've done for the past week is yoga and walk on the treadmill. And I can tell you that mentally and physically, minus today because I've got some sore shoulders today, but I've been feeling better because I was giving myself permission to slow down and to try something new and to accept the fact that maybe my daily routines look different from everyone else's, and that is fine. And I think the idea that we can all abide by the same health advice and routines is kind of ridiculous because we're all different. And so I just decided that I was gonna try something new. Now, maybe you're already someone who just doesn't play by the rules and doesn't just do things because people tell you you should. And I think I talked about this in the last vlog a little bit too, but I just realized it was time for a change, and what I was doing wasn't working. And you might be thinking, what in the world does this have to do with weaving? But it actually has quite a bit to do with it, because I talk a lot also about the fact that a big part of the process of making art, especially in regards to weaving, because we can weave and unweave, is to do just that, to adapt, to go back, and to do something that might be seemingly a little bit inconvenient, but maybe it works better. And I'm going to show you an example of that. Yesterday I was working on this piece, and this is what I want to talk to you about. The adapting portion, the going back, the changing things, and that being more than okay. So I was working on this piece, hopefully you can hear me okay, and I started putting this brown in, I really liked it, and I got up to this point and I looked down at this portion, and I thought to myself, something doesn't look right. And I realized, because of the direction I initially thought this weaving was going, this was looking a little too light for me. And so I just took some yarn, and if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen this, but I took some yarn and I just kind of laid it in here to show what the brown would look like in between those two. Oh, let's see if I can get it to stay. To see if I can get it fitting in there. And I set that in there, and all of a sudden I was just like, the piece looks so much better, because it was feeling really unbalanced. It was looking a little heavy up here with the dark, and it was looking a little bit too light down here with all this white. And as soon as I put that in there, the piece really started to feel more balanced, and you weren't distracted by this kind of big patch of white. And I think that's something I think a lot about, and I know you guys want to know a little bit more about the design process, so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. While I'm working on a piece, I like to step back. You're working very closely when you're weaving. You're working on one small section and you're not looking at the piece as a whole necessarily. So if I step back every once in a while and look at it and just pay attention to where your eye is drawn, that's when I again was starting to see that this needed to be brown, and just feeling that balance. This is not a repeating pattern. This isn't meant to be perfect by any means. I love the randomness, but my randomness needs some balance as well. So that's when I started to notice, okay, well, I've started spreading this brown throughout the piece. So I kind of wanted to make sure I had enough of that around. And another thing that really helps, and what they told us to do in art school a lot, was if you have like a big mirror, depending on the size of your piece, if you have a mirror that you can hold up and look at your piece in reverse, or take a picture of it and reflect it so it looks the opposite, you'll start to notice things that you didn't in the regular view. I hope that makes sense. So maybe I will go grab my phone and I'll show you what I mean. And I don't know if you'll be able to see this at all, but I'm gonna go into the editing and I'm gonna go to crop, which is this button, and I'm gonna press this reflect. And then just click done, and then start to look at your piece. Again, I don't know. Let's see here. I'm gonna try to make sure you guys can see this a little better. Okay, so now I'm looking at the piece in reverse, which is the same effect as a mirror. And what happens is your eye is getting, while you're working on your piece, it's getting really used to seeing it exactly the way it is. And one way to kind of get fresh eyes is to practice this exercise. Flipping it around in reverse and start looking, and your eye might be drawn to certain places that you think, that just doesn't quite look right. And then you can have that opportunity to switch things up when you notice things aren't looking right. Anything you can do to give yourself a chance to have fresh eyes on your work will really help you see when something is out of balance or there is something that you want to change about it. And another way to do this is by simply walking away. If you feel frustrated while you're working on the artwork and you have a chance to even walk away for 10 minutes, go look at something else, watch a YouTube video, go take a walk, scratch your little puppy dogs, anything to just sort of get your mind on something else and get your eyes looking at something else. When you come back to your piece, you'll have that freshness and you'll probably be able to see things that you didn't notice before. And especially when you're frustrated, and I have been frustrated with my pieces many times before, it really helps me to just take a break, even when I don't want to. Sometimes you have to fight through it and push through it, and you just want to figure it out, and that's fine. But if you have the time, take a few minutes away from it so that you can really get fresh eyes. There's no one right way to make art. And I think that's why it's so hard for me to put into words how I do it. But my best piece of advice is just make a lot of it. Trial and error. Work on some complicated pieces. Work on some simple pieces when your brain needs a break, but you still need that practice. I also think it's just great to look at a lot of art. And especially when you're a fiber artist specifically, it's great to look at other mediums, because then you're not going to necessarily just constantly be influenced by other weavers and inevitably start weaving like they're weaving. Because the whole point is to come up with your own style, because you are an individual, you have a unique voice, and you have a story to tell. So the best thing to do is just literally look at a lot of art, look at paintings and architecture. I've said this before in another video, but find your inspiration everywhere. Are you more drawn to nature, or are you more drawn to architecture and geometric shapes and that sort of thing? Just because you love somebody else's work that's in one style doesn't necessarily mean that that's your style and that you'll enjoy making that style. And that's okay too. We are only each one person. We don't have to make all the things. It's okay to deviate from what you think you like, to try something else, and you might discover that you love a completely different style you never even thought of because you gave yourself the chance. In the long run, and what I've been saying to you guys a lot lately, is you do you. Find ways to be confident in your own voice and in your own story, because that is truly what's gonna make you stand out as an artist. And give yourself permission to make things that aren't that pretty, and then undo it all and redo it. Because it truly is a practice. Any art is a practice, and I agree that that can be extremely frustrating sometimes, because sometimes you just want to get to the end point first. You want to just be good at it. You want to just have this piece that's already designed and perfect. And that's great and all, but it's not nearly as satisfying as when you just do this whole trial and error practice, find what works for you, and just keep trying different things. So at the end of the day, to recap, don't be afraid to edit yourself. Don't be afraid to weave and unweave. Get fresh eyes by either taking a picture of your work, walking away from it, looking at it in the reflective view, because both pictures of it in the normal view as well as in that reflected view is gonna help you see it with fresh eyes, because sometimes just seeing it on a small screen instead of big in person really helps. And don't be afraid to ask for a trusted person on their opinion too. Probably not your mom, because if your mom is anything like my mom, she just thinks everything you do is great, which is awesome, and that's what moms are supposed to do. But get someone who's not afraid to give you constructive criticism on your work if you feel like you need that. Or again, take a day, take 2 days, walk away from it, make something else, and come back to it with fresh eyes, more energy and motivation to just fight for that piece to be exactly what you want it to be. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe, and click the bell to get notifications every time I post a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.